run out of here.
Good morning, baby. Oh, good girl.
Freaking A.
What a good girl she is.
What, is there a creature down in there?
Yeah, there's a 3-banded armadillo down there.
Okay, that's awesome.
So you guys are welcome to have a seat. And Zoe is going to sit in your laps. So that's the holding chair. These are the waiting chairs. So you're going to go first.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Good. So when Zoe loves to be petted, but she likes everything at the speed of a sloth.
Yep.
So when you pet Zoe, you want to pet her at about this speed, just like this, just like that.
I can do it.
She doesn't like to be scratched with nails. She
I
doesn't
saw
like to be, and she doesn't like her hair stroked the wrong way, and she doesn't like to be touched on the belly side. And we only interact with our animals the way that they are comfortable with. So that is the way that a sloth likes to be petted, and she does like to be petted, just only certain ways.
Okay.
She loves to be held. She loves attention. So we transfer Zoe on her Snuggie. So we hold out the Snuggie and we say night-night, and that means you're going to another person now. Night-night, Zoe. Night-night. There you go. And then she's going to hang around your neck like that.
Oh,
And if you will support her under the hind end there, she will just lay around your neck like that.
Oh my God.
So Zoe is a two-toed sloth. Everyone knows that sloths are slow. But sloths are slow in ways that you may not know that sloths are slow. Hang on just 1 minute.
Oh my God.
Where'd you guys come in from?
North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw you guys on TikTok,
Cool.
and I was like, holy shit, I don't think that's too far from here.
Right. Where in North Carolina?
Just outside of Charlotte.
Oh, okay. I lived in Hendersonville for a while.
Oh, okay, skirt. Okay.
Yeah.
Where did we? I'm originally from Washington.
Oh, wow. Washington State.
And he just said y'all actually had someone from here, well, from there earlier this week. And I was like, really? I always find it strange. But this is like a dream come true to hold a sloth.
Oh, yeah.
Ever since I've seen my first one, I have been
Yeah.
in love with them. They just are adorable.
So we do caution people a little bit about the practice of holding sloths. So as a general statement, a lot of places like the Sloth Conservancy, the government of Costa Rica, a lot of other places will tell you it is always, always, always bad to hold a sloth. And they do that because they are motivated by combating the captive pet trade. I mean the wild animal trade. You know, people see us holding sloths and they're like, oh, I want to get a sloth. And then they find out you can buy a sloth, but you're buying an animal that was captured out of the rainforest. And, you know, it's not a good idea.
Not a humane issue.
It's not humane, it's not safe, it's not good. So they say that it's always bad, and I don't disagree with their motivation in saying so, because we don't want to promote the trade of wild animals. That's a horrible thing. And when they say that it is stressful and harmful to a sloth, when you're talking about a wild sloth, I agree 100%. That is completely true. But these are not wild sloths. These are sloths that are many generations captive bred, and they come to us from an ethical breeder who has been breeding them for 30 years and is a doctor of veterinary medicine. And these babies are being held from the time that they are 2 weeks old, but yet they are raised by their mothers. So the mothers are clicker trained, so click, 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 I'm going to take your baby, but it will be back. Doesn't stress the mama, doesn't stress the babies. So the babies get all the social, nutritional benefit of being a mother-raised animal until their mother weans them. But yet, they're held by humans every day from 2 weeks forward. And so you can see that they are completely oriented people. They are completely happy and normal. But this is not normal. You do not want to buy a sloth for a pet. That's a terrible idea. But anyway, so sloths are slow. Sloths are famously slow. But they are slow in ways that you don't think about an animal being slow. So they're slow not only in their movement, they're slow in their digestion, their metabolism, their metabolic processes. They are slow in every single way.
They
Well,
only
sorry.
poop once a week, right? They come
Week to
down
10 days, yep, 3 or 4 times a month. They come all the way down the tree, same side of the tree, poop in the exact same spot every single time.
Well, that's a blessing. Ugh,
My
you
mom
know
was
exactly
like,
where to go.
why don't they just poop from the trees? And I was like, they're not rude.
Isn't that an excellent question? So the starting out theories on why do they not poop from the top of the trees were that they're just neat animals. Obviously, that's not true. Myrtle Beach, I thought that said Virginia Beach for a second. In Colorado,
too.
yeah. Well, I've been to all these places. I lived in RV for a year and a couple
Oh,
months.
cool.
So I've lived in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, North, South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, 20 years in Virginia, now here. But I've been to all the states except Alaska. And I'm retired from the Navy, so I've been to about 70 or 80 countries too. But anyhow.
Alaska's very pretty. You ever make it out there?
Yeah, I
That's
meant
all
to
like
go there,
Washington.
but when we were in the RV, I did not know until I punched it into the nav from sitting in Seattle that it is further from Seattle to Anchorage than it is from Seattle to DC. Because you have
Yeah,
to
Anchorage
drive
is
around
up
the
there.
Canadian Rockies. Well, it's anywhere, to drive anywhere in Alaska, you have to drive around the Canadian Rockies.
You could take a ferry from
Yep,
what
as
was
long
it,
as you don't mind.
Kalispell to
Yep, I looked at that, and as long as you don't mind paying $13,000 one way, you're welcome to drive your RV to Alaska on the ferry.
No, thank
But beyond that, just go later, take an inside passage, and haven't gotten around to that yet. But so yeah, the starting out theory on why they poop from the top of the trees is they're just neat animals, and then after they're like, well, obviously that can't be true. There's no other animal, it's just a neat animal. And so then they thought that they live only in one tree and they were fertilizing their own tree. And then they're like, well, if it landed anywhere under the canopy of the tree, that would have the same effect, so that can't be true. So the actual reason is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. So sloths need moths and moths need sloths in the wild, not in captivity, praise God. So
do they eat the moths?
yes and no. So the sloths, symbiotic means beneficial to both sides, where parasitic would be beneficial to one side, neutral or harmful to the other side. And it is symbiotic. So the benefit to the sloth is that it digests its food primarily by a bacterial process. And the source of the bacteria is the waste of the moths. So when they groom themselves, they lick up a certain amount of the waste of the moths and a certain amount of the moths themselves. So if a sloth moth colony dies out entirely from being cold, at the same cold temperature that kills the moths will kill the bacteria colony that lives all the way through the sloth. And the sloth 30 days later will die of starvation, not for lack of food, but for lack of ability to digest the food. So the benefit to the sloth is the bacteria. The benefit to the moth is that the sloth is the food source and the living environment of the moths. There is a type of moth called a sloth moth that lives nowhere on earth except in the fur and in the waste pile of a sloth. And so when the sloth comes down the tree, he poops straight onto the ground. The moths jump off of the sloth into the waste pile, lay their eggs. The oldest ones will lay there and die. The middle ones will come back onto the sloth. And then the sloth will go back up the tree. And then from there it's row, row, row your boat. Every time he comes down, there's something going on with the moths. So the eggs for this time that he comes down, or the larva the next time he comes down, and 2 times from now, that's the new moths. So every time that he comes down, the moths lay eggs, and every time that he comes down, there's new moths. So the sloth will have somewhere between 125 and 150 moths and beetles living in his fur at all times. And if he doesn't have the moths in the wild, he won't survive. Captivity, he doesn't need them. All right, let's let our next person have a holding turn. So we're gonna come to Zoe and we're gonna say, night, Zoe. Night, baby. Zoe, come here, baby. Oh, good girl. Good girl, Zoe. Oh my goodness. Let's go, big girl.
Hold on, let me get out.
Are you 10 years old?
Chair?
No, that's good right there. She's good in that chair,
You're
yeah.
8? Okay.
8.
Is she signed up for VIP?
She's not.
Okay. We're gonna let the next person that's signed up for VIP do the holding. I might be able to get her a minute. She seems like a pretty chill 8-year-old.
Oh, yeah, she's, not quite so bad.
Here we go. You gotta support her pretty good underneath or she holds on for all her might around your neck.
I've never had a baby, so I don't know about holding kids.
They kind of hold themselves, luckily.
Yeah, she's good. So, the sloth will only go to the bathroom once in 7 to 10 days. And it goes always in the same place because of the moths.
So how do the moths help their digestion?
So we also have helpful gut bacteria. Our
Mhm.
gut bacteria will last for all our lives and they aid in the digestive process. But primarily enzymes are doing for us what,
She's
What?
eating my pudding string. I don't know if that's healthy.
well, she can't get the whole thing, but you can just take it.
I was gonna say, I don't care if she chews it, but I don't know if it's good for her.
She likes to chew the little plastic end things. I'm gonna tuck this inside her shirt if you don't mind. There you go. So, well, I guess she's gonna dig it out anyway. It's all right. So, we have helpful gut bacteria also. What would kill our gut bacteria is a long course of antibiotics. If you never in your life take antibiotics, you never in your life have a gut bacteria problem, unless you eat just ridiculous, crazy amounts of sugar. What would kill us, and if we kill our bacteria colony, we head down to GNC and get some probiotics, or we get some good Greek yogurt, and we'll fix ourselves right back up. They're gonna live 20 years in the rainforest. If their gut bacteria ever die out, they don't have GNC and they don't have Publix, so they don't have any way to replenish their gut bacteria. So how they replenish it is the moths. And we primarily are digesting our food by a bacterial process. By an enzymatic process, not a bacterial process. They are primarily bacteria, not enzymes. And if their bacteria colony dies out, they don't have any way to replenish except the moths.
So they just
I'll try a
naturally,
little
from
slower
mother
than that.
to son, from
Yeah.
parent
All right,
to.
young lady, we'll let you be the sloth feeder. So if you want to take a leaf like this and give it to her one at a time, just like that. These are her snack food.
Spinach. We call it fancy.
These are real teeth.
Yeah, when they get big, they get ginormous teeth. And that's another difference you'll see between our sloths and other places that have sloth holding. We don't pull our sloths' teeth. Other places, several of them do. I think that's animal cruelty and it's horrible.
Yes.
But it does guarantee that you can't get bit by the sloth you're holding.
I wouldn't do that either.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of differences between the way that we do it and the way that other places do it. So if you look at some other sloth encounters, just click on their booking calendar and you can see that you can book those sloths every 15 minutes for 10 hours of the day.
Yeah,
Hours.
first come, first served. Casey, make sure to hold the bowl really good so we don't scare the sloth, okay?
Hours, you'll see that you can book this sloth 2 times a day. That is it.
So, they kind of look like bats. I didn't really think about it until her head was upside down, and I'm like, oh, right now she looks similar to a bat.
Even like their feet, how the bat's like wing comes out, you know, they have that one
Oh.
thumb looking thing. So
I have but one claw, beware. I've
Her
watched
ears are pretty
Fergie like too
different
many
than
times.
bats. This is what her ears look like.
Ears?
Oh, yeah. Their ears proportional
She's like,
to their head are. She's like, I'm in the middle of eating right now. Come on, dude.
I didn't
Ears.
even pay attention, so like I assumed they had ears, but I didn't notice that you could never
No,
see them.
she's too.
she's like, snap.
She's too into the spinach right now. But her ears proportional to her head are every bit as big as our ears proportional to our head, and they look almost the same. She doesn't have earlobes, but she has big outer ears just like us.
Oh, yours.
You wouldn't know that our youngest guest here had ears either if you didn't peel her hair back, right?
I got your husband on YouTube, so he's watching now.
Oh, cool, thank you. Casey, I don't know how to get into your phone. Or, oh wait, hold on, I figured it out.
Usually you can open the camera without opening the
Tiny
phone.
little dog is. We should go tiny. Aw.
Okay.
Forget a human baby. This is the way to go.
That's right.
Look at its claw, like it's bent into its little foot thing. I didn't know it could flex like that. I want to see it whip it out like a switchblade. How cute.
I know, I wish they liked belly rubs, cause I would be like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
They got the belly for it. Oh my
They
God,
do.
how are its legs right now? Is it, did it turn around somehow without
No.
moving its bottom half?
They're just really, really flexible. So John will explain here like how many more vertebrae than they have versus the other mammals.
And
I'm
now
surprised
looking
at how
it.
far the head's
No,
getting
send that.
tilted over, like,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
eating upside down.
It's
Do you
grabbing
need
you.
some more spinach? There we go. Let's get you
Keep
some.
it coming, sister.
Just let her go now.
Can you go get that for me, please?
She said, hey, do you have any more in that
There you
section?
How fun is that? You get to feed a baby sloth.
All right, guys, so we always say that we interact with our sloths in the way that they are comfortable to. And right now, the proof is in the pudding. Flash hasn't felt like coming down today, so we're going to get Dash. So you guys are about to get the super upgrade to see the tiny baby sloth.
Oh my freaking gosh. This is like the best birthday present ever.
Did you guys come together?
Yes,
Oh,
her
okay,
birthday
cool.
was yesterday, and so, and mine is on the 28th. And so we were like, I was like, oh, I really want a pet sloth for my birthday. And
Yeah.
she's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go too. So we're staying just down the road, and but this is my main event, like, of my
Yeah.
life.
Don't make
So-
her do sit-ups. It's a hard life.
Well, they hang upside down, backwards, inside out.
Well, that's what I was
whatever way.
talking to him, I was like, I can't tell which way she's facing anymore, like she's moving around, I was like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought this was her butt, but is it her belly? I don't know.
Yeah, your hand is under her back.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So a three-toed sloth and a two-toed sloth have some differences. A three-toed sloth has more vertebrae in their cervical spine, between their skull and their shoulders.
Okay.
Three-toed sloth has 9, two-toed sloth has 5. A three-toed sloth has 3 vertebrae of a tail, two-toed sloth has no tail. But they
Okay.
have the same number of vertebrae from end to end. So that means that all those extra vertebrae are between the hips and shoulders of a two-toed sloth. So the three-toed will turn its head 270 around like an owl.
Okay.
Two-toed sloth, if this is its hips and this is its shoulders, they can turn till they're 180 out, their hips and their shoulders.
Wow.
So a three-toed moves more like an owl, a two-toed moves more like a slinky.
Okay. And
The,
so one has a tail, I'm assuming it's a nubbin, like
yeah,
a,
just a tiny tail. And so when the two-toed comes down and goes to the bathroom on the floor, he just gets right to the ground and does his business.
Uh-huh.
If you want to see how he does it, you could look back through our Facebook and look
honestly,
for
I
sloth
do for
potty
some
time.
reason.
Yeah,
Just for
well, there's one
knowledge.
that the cover picture of it says sloth potty time or
Sloth
sloth potty
potty
dance
dance,
or something like that. So he gets down and he gets his hiney right to the floor and he goes, just
Oh.
poops on the ground, right?
I've
Well,
seen
the
my child do
three-toed-
that, yeah.
The three-toed takes his tail and he gets all the way down and then he takes the tail and he digs a hole in the poop like this. And so the
For
three-toed
the
has
sloth, for
moths.
the moths?
Yep, the
Okay.
three-toed has moths even more densely on him than the two-toed does, because when the three-toed is digging his tail all through the poop, that lets the larva of the moths also crawl up onto the sloth. So he has not only the newest moths fly up onto him, he has the larva crawl up onto him while it's in contact with the ground, going to the bathroom. And
That part sounds like
getting-
my worst nightmare.
Feel her
getting really
sense.
into the weeds, but the three-toed sloth has more peptids and leptids in its blood than the two-toed sloth. So they took some sloths and caught them and bagged them around the neck like this and put some gas in there to kill all their moths. So they'd all fall off them and they could count how many moths are on a sloth. Sorry, sweetheart. And that was, around 150 for either kind of moth, sloth. And the two-toed are bigger than the three-toed, so that means that the three-toed have the sloths more densely on them than the two-toed do. And when they groom themselves, they lick up a certain amount of the moths as well as the waste of the moths. And the moths are the source of the peptids and leptids in a moth, in a sloth's blood. So that's theoretically another benefit of the moths. We're good. We're about to go on to Dash with these ones, and Zoe will start the next ones with Zoe. And maybe Flash will come down, maybe he won't.
I need to get a cleaner screen.
She's like a baby goat. They like strings too.
I lost my phone. I think I would have died a little. Oh, what's it?
I'm really after the strings.
Wait.
I can't stop you. I'm supporting you with both hands now.
I want to see if our next people are all here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just break the thing down.
Get the string out of its poor mouth.
I don't want to.
Be gentle.
It doesn't need to eat plastics. We get enough microplastics in us already, buddy.
All day, every day, every
We don't
day.
need any more.
Speaking of, I forgot a water bottle.
She really likes them though.
Anything that, and especially that's the reason we always have to have people take off their necklaces, because she'll immediately grab it. I think she hears my voice. So I usually feed her a lot.
She's
like,
like,
"Oh,
my
what's
food
going
source.
on?"
That's
Hey,
how
baby.
kids are too, and they're like, hear their parents, I'm hungry. Yeah.
So even if we don't have an encounter, I still try to do lives with her. So we
She's
can
just
hear
gonna
it.
try to grab you.
Are we allowed to pet her inner hand?
So if you do that, she will just kind of immediately pull away. Like a lot of times you can kind of like gently touch it, but as soon as you do, because it's kind of hypersensitive to her, she'll just pull away.
It's like tickling my foot.
Right. Yeah.
But
She's not gonna like freak out or anything. Like you can feel it, and it just feels like a monkey palm or leather.
so I'm allowed to do that?
Yeah, you can
Okay, I'll
just
be-
gently touch it.
Okay. Gently. Just
Oh, you're gonna get bit by your first sloth.
yeah. Oh, yes.
And then don't let her nibble on her because she's like a puppy, right?
Mhm.
So if you let her nibble, then she's like, oh, okay, I can always nibble.
That's okay.
So you just want to
So-
rotate your hand and pull it away from her.
Okay, rotate and pull.
There you go.
Oh, you're so precious.
She's like, I'll kill you.
I know someone had food. Oh, nope.
So
no
part of
worries.
the reason that they're always opening their mouth and they're
You're gonna make her
reaching
bite me.
is their vision is horrible. So they have monochromatic. So how they see is like that.
Oh,
okay.
like tunnels through a straw? That's
Yes. And if you look at their pupils, you see how tiny they are.
terrible. Yeah,
So their vision is horrible.
okay.
Let me readjust here. Miss Carrie pissed you off now.
And she's fun, she's fun.
She's
No,
trying to
she's
bite
going
me now.
back to your strings. Food?
And the slower you speak and the quieter, she'll kind
calmer.
of mimic that. So if you just like relax and move slow, and when you do those pettings, like slow, smooth strokes, she'll start to mimic that. So we're mimicking them and they're mimicking us.
She's chewing on her
They
little,
have
little
tiny,
fingernails.
tiny pupils.
Mhm.
You smoked a dude.
That's right. A little Cheech and a little Chong. That's right.
We're working on putting up a lot more educational content on our YouTube, so it'll be labeled safe for kids, and it's organized in different places. So you just want to rotate.
pull your
There
arm
you go.
gently away,
Mhm.
and there you go.
She's just inquisitive. There you go.
She remembers you. She's like,
Just
the
like
foot
my
toucher.
neck.
Oh, I didn't know the snails can move.
That's what I
The switchblade.
Oh, dang.
Girl, you're getting crazy. Come on, see
I
nothing but
She wants to hold you, but we gotta be calm.
I get it. Oh,
Oh, she's a hefty little thing.
Yeah, at a point you're like, I don't want to adjust her too much because I don't want her to freak out that I'm adjusting.
And
But-
she's very inquisitive because we sit in that so much, and I think some people occasionally spill a little drink. So she's like, what does it smell?
I've heard, or I read, I think coming here, that yes, they're sensitive to smells, like they have super sniffers, probably because their eyesight's not very good. So is it smelling that is their first
Yes.
most powerful sense, and then hearing?
Yeah.
Or is hearing
They're
not
like
very good either?
equal because obviously she can't hear food, so she has to smell it.
Mhm.
Flip off on the floor, like,
And the hearing, oh, she won't flip. You don't have to hold her.
okay.
They're like, nah, they're trained to
Yeah.
grip with their back feet.
Right. So Flash can hang with just one leg forever.
Chewing the cover.
Really?
Yes. So it is easier for them to hang than it is for them to release.
That would make sense,
Yeah.
because
Hands
they're,
in the cup holder.
first off, they're not very, like, they're not monkeys, so they don't fling from
Right.
one thing to another. Their literal job is to
She's chewing
grip and
on it.
hang.
Right.
So,
And you'll
that makes
see,
sense.
like, anytime that she goes to retract, it's super, super fast. But if she's extending, it's much slower. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, like, even if they're up in the trees and they're kind of in a ball or whatever, if for some reason they died, they're going to just stay on that tree until they basically get knocked off.
Oh, that's like a cicada husk or whatever.
There you go. Yep.
She'll call me and I'll tell her what we gotta figure out. All right, so you're gonna do Dash and I'm gonna do Zoe.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so you three, come on out this way. You're about to see Dash. Let me have her. Hey, Zoe, come here, baby girl. Oh, good girl, come here. What a good girl you are.
Which animals play with the tic-tac-toe?
Or
is it
Quad monkeys.
Quad Mondays.
This was the quad money there.
What is a quadamundi?
Hey,
It's like a South American
Susan is here
raccoon.
times 4.
Oh,
She
is
says
it
that she spoke
quadamundi?
to she had reserved
Quata.
for 4, but then there were only
Oh,
2
that sounds cool.
VIP
Never heard
slots, so
of it.
she canceled the reservation and rebooked the reservation. So I'm telling her to call you right now. And I told her I'm just gonna have to do Susan, that it says times 1 and then VIP 2. She's here with 4 people. So the other 3 for 10:30 I'm doing right now, and she's calling you to figure out what is going on.
Do you want me to go kick Dash? Oh, no, he's gonna be out here.
All right. Bye.
So this is Flash's
Yeah.
area.
All right, if you give Donna a
He
call
decides
right now,
to
she'll
come on
answer.
down. And he's
Alright,
got
we'll
2
get it
stories
figured
up
out.
there, so.
All right, y'all,
He
come on
decides
in.
up there.
Everybody hit the hand sanitizer first.
Yep. So we'll figure out where everybody's going.
I wanted, for some reason, I do want to watch one. Go to that. I want to watch that video.
It's on our Facebook page.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I think I'll have to watch it just to see, because I've heard it on one week, so it just seems.
Yeah.
Is this a dream of yours too?
It is, it's a bucket list thing.
Yes, we do. I was like, I have to do this someday.
Come on in.
For sure. Kevin, we're gonna have everybody be going in here.
All right, 3 are coming in here, and the first 3 are staying out here with you.
Yeah.
Come on in this way, guys. You might want to lose the coat.
Lose
Yeah.
the code.
Well, it's 80 degrees in here. I just think.
So if you want to go first, yeah, sit in that chair. There you go.
Were you better out there?
At least it's not cold in here, right?
She's having a hard time with the fragrance,
Oh, okay.
so
Yeah,
tell
it
her
isn't
she
in.
can go out there.
All right. Oh, you're good.
Oh my
All right, so I'm sure you guys have seen us on social media. You probably all know that we live stream everything we do. Just making sure nobody's on witness protection here with their girlfriend instead of their wife. Supposed to be at work today, anything like that. Everybody good? And you're gonna have to lose the glasses from off your neck because she'll grab them. And you might want to tuck your hoodie strings inside of your jacket because you'll want to chew them. All right, so you guys are gonna get to hold Zoe this morning. We're supposed to be starting off with Flash, but Flash didn't feel like coming down this morning. And we always say that we interact with our animals in the way that they are comfortable with. And today the proof is in the pudding. He doesn't feel like coming down, so he's not. So you guys are getting the super upgrade to Zoe and then Dash. Dash is our tiny baby that's this big.
Oh my goodness.
So I doubt anybody will be terribly discouraged. So the way that you hold a sloth, you support them underneath the butt end like that. and then you pet them, and sloths like everything slow. This is how fast the sloth likes to be petted, just like this. She doesn't like you to be like this. You see the way she bears her neck in and grabs around here, and she's like, yeah, no. And I can get away with it because I'm her person. But if you do it, she'll not want you to hold her anymore. So you pet her about this fast, like this. She doesn't like you to mess with her feet or her belly. All right, and we transfer her on her Snuggie. That's how we tell her you're going from one person to the next. And you're sitting in the holding seat, so we'll let you go first. There you go. And just hold her underneath. So guys, this is meant to be what you signed up for is the sloth encounter, and then I think everybody probably did VIP. I'm honestly not sure at this point because we have sort of a snafu going on this morning. But so normally this is more just holding and less educating, but you're going to get the educating and then hold the baby, so you're going to get the full Monty. So these are all two-toed sloths. They're alive in the world today. There are two-toed sloths and three-toed sloths. Differences between them. They all have 3 toes on the back feet. Two-toed have 2 on the front. Three-toed have 3 on the front. The other differences, the two-toed have fewer vertebrae in their cervical spine between their skull and their shoulders than a three-toed does. And a three-toed has 3 vertebrae of a tail, little stubby tail. Two-toed has no tail. But end to end, they have the same number of vertebrae as the three-toed sloths do. So that means they have more vertebrae between their hips and their shoulders. So a two-toed sloth will turn its head 270 like an owl, like this. A three-toed turns from its hips to its shoulders till its hips and its shoulders can be like 180 out either direction from each other. So a three-toed is a little more like a slinky, two-toed is a little more like an owl in their movements. The sloths are slow. Sloths are famously slow, but sloths are slow in ways that you don't think about a sloth being, or any animal being slow. And I'm texting my wife right now. Let me hang this stupid thing up.
Are these videos that are live? Can you re-access?
Yes, so he will cut up a shorter version of these and post something later in the day. They usually stay for about 30 days, and you can download them from pretty much any of the social media websites at that point. And they usually will be up for somewhere around 30 days. And yes, you absolutely can download them later. But you also can take all the pictures and all the videos you want. There's no limits on that. And if you guys want to act as each other's photographers, that can work out pretty well too. So sloths are famously slow. Everyone knows sloths are slow, but they're slow in ways that you don't think about. They're slow not only in their movement, they're slow in their digestion, their metabolism, their metabolic processes. They are slow in every single way that an animal can be slow. So slow in their movement. Online it will tell you a sloth can only move about 12 feet per minute. In our experience, that is not true. The Flash next door, his environment is about 25 feet tall, and he can make it from the top down to scurry out the door. Usually when I open the door and say, hey Flash, he just comes right down. Today, he's in a weird mood for some reason. So today he hasn't come down, but he can make it top to bottom in about 30 seconds. So that would be more like 40 or 50 feet per minute, not 12. But still, you know, that's less than 1/3 of 1 mile per hour. And I'm sure that's his sprint speed, not his going for a hike speed. But they are also slow in their digestion, their metabolism, their metabolic processes. They are slow in every single way that an animal can be slow. So slow in their digestion. The first studies, and I'm going to close this door because we're overlapping each other's speech. The first studies on how slowly the sloth digests its food suggested that they put some 3mm glass beads into some sloth's food, and the glass beads took between 61 and 64 days to work their way through the sloth. So that was the first theory on how slowly a sloth digests its food. and no one seriously believes that anymore. These days, people would tell you that it's a lot quicker. The next study, they put some durable dyes onto some various food types that they fed to sloths, waited to see how long it took the colors to come through. And that was more in the 18 to 30 days range, based primarily on what the sloth was eating. So the sloths digest really slowly, really thoroughly, but they eat tremendous amounts of food. They eat 10% of their body weight every single day. So if you put that to human perspectives, I weigh about 200 pounds. So that would be me eating 20 18-ounce or 16-ounce porterhouse steaks every single day. I obviously could not eat 21-pound steaks every day. I had to adjust my weight because I weighed myself this morning and it was frightening. If you've seen me before, I would say I weigh 180, which is pre-holiday weight. So maybe I'm like a sloth and it'll fix itself suddenly. But so 10% of their body weight every day, and yet they go to the bathroom only once in 7 to 10 days, 3 or 4 times a month. Let's let our next person have a turn holding.
Do you want me to get a couple pictures real quick?
Chairs, yeah.
I saw you reaching for your phone, so I was like, let's see if she'll turn a little bit.
Zoo, zoo, zoo,
Say
zoo,
sloth
zoo.
snuggles.
Zoo, 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 zoo. Hey, baby.
Do they eat milk like, are they?
Oh, how old is she?
She is 13 months. Her birthday was December
Oh my
16th.
goodness.
So she just started to transfer down here from the house on her birthday. Where's Zoe? Night. So night tells her that she's moving to her snuggie, which means she's going to another person. Oh, there we go. Who's gonna be next?
Let her go.
Grab
Swap
this.
shoes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Oh my
There you
goodness.
go. Can I take this phone from your
You
lap?
can?
See there. So the sloths are eating tremendous amounts of food, but it is super low quality food. So they're primarily eating leaves. Leaves are almost all cellulose. Cellulose is hard to digest and has very little nutritional value. So they eat tremendous amounts of food and then they go to the bathroom only 3 or 4 times a month. So 7 to 10 days between trips to the bathroom, and that is solid and liquid at the same time. They don't even tinkle between trips down the tree. So the sloth will come all the way down the tree, same side of the tree, and go to the bathroom in the exact same place every single time. And the reason that it does that is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. So sloths need moths and moths need sloths. So symbiotic means it's beneficial to both sides of the equation. Parasitic would be beneficial to one side, neutral or harmful to the other. So it is symbiotic. So the benefit, we usually only have 2 people at a time in here, but we're all screwy in here today. We had a whoopsie on a reservation somehow. There was only 4 bookable spots, and somehow somebody clicked 1 and thought they clicked 4, but we'll get it figured out. But anyway, so the sloths.
Oh, I covered my ears too.
Hey,
Oh, you got it again?
Isn't that crazy? She's using her back leg to scratch her head. Yeah.
Clean it. You got your ears?
How many non-zoo
yeah, okay.
sloth places are into the zoo?
All right, so
Not that
have you
many.
got them sorted out
So
with the 4?
we are licensed by the USDA as an exhibitor.
Okay.
So we have the same license that we would have, that you would have as a zoo.
Yeah.
In terms of legality of owning sloths, yeah, you could probably
That
get
was what
one,
she
but
said
we
she did.
never recommend that because the temperature has to be 75 to 80 degrees, 50% humidity. Their diet's really
Oh, you
specific.
got it back here. Yeah.
So go ahead and rotate your chin a little way. There you go.
No worries.
Because
We'll get
so
it done.
she's a baby,
Okay.
and just like a baby lab or just a normal baby, they're just
Yeah,
like
we'll get
mouthing,
everybody
right?
sorted out.
And so
We're
we're just
just
trying to
behind it.
encourage her not
I'm
to
letting
do
them
that.
hang out
Like we're
in
not
the
being mean
barn
about
now
it, but we
with the
just
camels.
rotate away from whatever she's doing, and then she's like,
While they
okay, I
wait,
don't
so
need
they're
that.
not just sitting in
And a
the
lot
car.
of times because they can't
All right,
see it
right.
all, They're trying to either taste or smell or hear what's going on. So she's just being inquisitive.
She's saying, who's got me now?
So they can't see?
You've tasted.
I'll let John explain.
So there, if you look at her eyeballs, it's just pinpricks where her pupils are. So she's basically looking around like this. If you did your hands, that's what she's seeing right now. And well, no, like this, just pinpricks, you know, just tiny amounts. And their eyes naturally have a structure called rod monochromacy, which means they have all rod cells, no cone cells. So even on the best of occasions, they are only seeing grayscale. They never have any color vision. And but even the grayscale vision is horrible. So their sense of smell and sense of hearing are like dogs. They smell and hear very, very well, and they're tactile animals. They also have excellent spatial awareness, so completely blind, they can scurry around their home range of trees full speed as if they could see, because they just remember exactly where everything is. But sloths do fall fairly often. They'll grab onto the branch with one hand, grab their own arm with their other hand, let go with the first hand, and boom. So, but the slinky-like sloth can withstand amazing falls. So, like for instance, when a sloth is in the top of the tree, he is entirely safe from predators with the exception of eagles. And because the sloths weigh very little, this one weighs 13 pounds, the full-grown adult over here weighs 15 pounds. And so they can go much further out to the end of the branch than a predator large enough to threaten their life can go. So if the predator presses the issue to the point that the branch breaks and they both fall 80, 100 feet to the rainforest floor, the sloth will almost certainly survive and the cat will almost certainly not. And the sloth will look over at the cat and go, ha, ha, and back up the tree he will go. So and then the moss and algae that are all in the sloth's fur are what disguise him from the eagles in the top. And that is another benefit to the moths.
What countries, their main, where's the highest population?
Biggest concentration of them is Costa Rica. And Costa Rica is having an extreme problem with people kidnapping wild sloths to sell them as pets right now. And so they have a big press going on right now telling people that it is never ever okay to hold a sloth, that it's harmful to sloths, that it's stressful to sloths. I understand why they say that, and I applaud them for their efforts, but it does make people like us kind of look bad. But when you're petting a wild sloth, they have a whole biosphere living in their fur with the moths and the beetles and the moss and the algae and everything else. And if you're petting a wild sloth, you're screwing its biosphere all up, which can kill it. And petting a wild sloth is stressful to the sloth. Same way if you try to pet a white-tailed deer or a feral cat, it's going to go poorly. And stressful to the animal, bad for the people. And then furthermore, people see an encounter like this and they're like, oh, that's so cute, I wish I had a pet sloth. And you can find somewhere online that they will sell you a sloth. But if you spent less on your sloth than you spend on your car, you're getting a wild-caught animal that is part of the illegal pet trade. And so we absolutely do not encourage people to go out and try to buy a sloth and keep it as a pet. And what you see here in a 30-minute encounter doesn't begin to indicate the amount of effort, care, education, and investment that go into having sloths. But our sloths are not wild-caught animals. Our sloths are bred by a ethical breeder who's a doctor of veterinary medicine who's been in sloth conservation for 30 years now. And he raises his babies. They are mother-raised animals, but held by people every day from 2 weeks old. So the mothers are clicker trained. So click, click, click. I'm gonna take your baby, but it will be back. Doesn't bother the mothers, so it doesn't stress the babies. So at 2 weeks old, he's holding them for 30 seconds, then 45, then a minute, so on and so forth, until by the time the babies have been weaned by their mother of their mother's own choice and volition, they're being held by humans 30, 45 minutes, several times a day. When ours come here, their very favorite thing to do is hang around our necks. When they're little babies, they like to hang on our bicep like this, or on your leg like that. And they are completely people-oriented from birth. So it is crazy how much they just, This one was almost named Oof, because when I go to set her down, she'll go, oof, oof, which means, no, pick me back up, pick me back up. And the other one goes, when you set him down, because he wants you to pick him back up. So these are not wild animals, but I understand why they say the things that they say. I applaud their effort. I don't disagree with why they say the things that they say. It's just important to know that these are not wild animals. And people ask, will they be returned to the rainforest? No, no, they will not. These are multi-generation captive bred. Take your house cat and throw it out into the forest and see how long that thing survives. Yeah.
How'd y'all get into sloths and kangaroos and?
Oh, we work on a really strict policy here. Mama wants, mama gets. So, yeah, honestly, it's all organic. It's what people, ask us about, want to see, and what we're interested in. And before we buy any different breed of animal, there is a tremendous amount of research and, training and everything else. So we have extensive training before we get an animal. And then our veterinarian does all of our animals, and that is John Higdon. Let's see where our veterinarian's in here. Night, Zoe. Night. She's like, oh, I like this off sweater.
But I like it. I'm sorry.
She could sing a country song and be, I like it, I love it.
Is that your son working out here?
Yeah,
Where is, what?
Ukraine.
Okay. I knew you had to, she was like, where is that language from?
I was like, I love his accent. Where?
Yeah. I have 10 kids, half of them are adopted from Ukraine.
Oh, that's awesome.
There you go.
I love his accent. I was like, it's.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. With most of our animals, we find that animals mirror people. With people, we find that people mirror sloths. So you hold a sloth and you just kind of have a chill come over you, and we have people that break down sobbing, we have people that fall asleep, Often a very visceral response.
He's like, I'm going back to sleep now.
This is the one animal Becky never had when I was growing up.
I might get your ear in this picture.
Oh,
I'm just
fine.
gonna get a picture of her face.
I'll try not to.
So now, how big do your kangaroos get? Sorry, I'm full of questions this morning. They're so cute.
Her adopted mom is a large animal vet.
Oh, yeah. So our vet is Higdon Large Animal Services, and he is the vet who shows up here. But then, of course, he's got the hotline to UT Vet School, and then we have consulting vets. So our sloth vet is in Miami. He's who our sloths come from, and our kangaroo vet is in Queensland, and our camel vet is in Oklahoma City. And we have different consulting vets for all the different animals, because nobody can be an expert in this many animals, particularly not anyone who lives anywhere near Benton, Tennessee.
Right.
And so every time I get a new animal, he gets a new book. And but it's exciting, it's fun. I always call and surprise him. Guess what we got? Say what?
A little breath, like
Yeah.
breathing, like.
Yeah, she looks like she's asleep, but she's wide awake. She's just experiencing.
Is it like 90% upside down? Their lungs?
Don't know. I mean, sometimes our sloths love to lay in their hammocks. So they're probably right side up more than they're upside down. But the sloths hanging in trees, when they're hanging in a tree like this, for us, from a PE class, we could remember that a minute is a long time to do a 2-arm hang, right? That's because our stress exertion state is this. Our relaxed state is that. That's exerting no energy. The sloth, their relaxed state is this. Their exertion state is that. So if you see them reach out, it's all slow, and then they just snap right back. Hanging in a tree like this, they're in their completely relaxed resting state. it is so true that they're exerting no energy at all to hang in that tree, that if a sloth died, it wouldn't necessarily fall. It could continue to hang there dead for days or weeks until something rotted or until something knocked it out of the tree. And the resting state of a sloth, they are resting at a far more restful level than everything else rests. So most of their energy goes into digestion. So, you know, the leaves are super hard to digest, the tremendously many of them, and they're spending all their energy just working on their, so, you know, we say they're slow in their digestion, metabolism, metabolic processes. So their energy budget is so low because they eat such low quality food that a sloth doesn't even maintain its body temperature. So they are a warm-blooded animal, but their core body temperature will be whatever the outside air temperature is. So in the rainforest, daytime highs in the mid-80s, nighttime lows in the upper 60s, and their body will make that range of temperatures like every day. And that's the other problem, well, that's one of many problems for keeping sloths, is if you let a sloth get cold just once, it will kill its bacteria colony, and that will kill a sloth. And of course, in captivity, we can give them probiotics to fix their bacteria colony if it was a problem. But you have to really, really know what you're doing to even know that there was a problem. And you know, so if you have a sloth environment, you've got your primary power source and your backup power source, and then your tertiary heat source, because you just can't ever let a sloth get cold. And having a backup and a backup of the backup in places like this, not easy to accomplish.
No.
And then of course we're sitting here sweating because it's 80 degrees and 50% relative humidity in here. And this one is a tiny bit less humid than the one next door. That's why we don't do encounters inside of Flash's room, as everybody's makeup would run. So everybody wants to look nice for the pictures when they come, but you know, the woman would all be like, you know, by the time they left Flash's room. So,
How
but-
old's Flash?
Flash is 6 years old, Zoe is 13 months old, Dash is 5 months old. And we always say that we interact with our animals in the way that they are comfortable with. Today the proof is in the pudding. Flash didn't feel like coming down the tree, so we're gonna see Dash today.
How long do
And
they
to be
live?
clear, in captivity they can live 50 years, in the wild 20.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, so that's one of the things that Costa Rican government says, is that a captive sloth that's being used for petting only lives a couple months. And
They don't protect any of the.
yeah, and with a wild animal, I agree, that's true, it's horrible. But these are not wild animals. And you know, they're combating people who are trying to feed their children, who will go out and catch a sloth out of the rainforest, and a cruise ship pulls in with 5,000 people on it. Maybe they can get $10 times 5,000 to pet a sloth sitting at the end of the, or not at the end of the gangway, because the cruise companies won't let it, you know. Wherever you leave the port area, there will be 5 people sitting there who want $10 to pet a sloth, and it's a sloth that they grabbed out of a tree this morning, and it's going back tonight, and it may or may not live. And
That's
so
sad.
I understand why they say the things that they say. I really do. Just, that's not what we're doing here. And if you look at our sloth, I'm sure you'll see that she's got all her teeth. A lot of places in America that have sloth encounters, they pull all their teeth.
Oh.
Because that way the sloth can't bite you. And
She was just
and the
What's my game plan?
you are gonna take them out to Dash, but we're gonna show them.
Are you ready to take me back?
All right, you guys ready to see the baby? I'm gonna take her for good. Yeah, noises get her going.
I got her hugging.
Come here, baby.
Do they not, are they like sensitive to loud noises?
They're startled by them, and they have, you know, hyper hearing. So every noise is a loud noise. But they do live in our house with us, and I'm not a quiet person. My wife's like, "You're gonna scare them." I'm like, "Well, they might as well get used
It's
to
like
it."
a baby, you gotta get them used to. Sorry.
Good. So Dash does still currently live in my bedroom, and my bedroom is 80 degrees and 50% relative humidity.
So this is Dash.
And
He is dashing all around.
yeah, he is. He's a sweet little boy. He is 5 months old now.
Yep.
Because we got him at 4.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah. And he just had his breakfast, so he's all nice and happy and content. And he weighs a little less than a pound and a half now.
Pound and a half, yeah.
And you guys are welcome to sit down if you want, you can stand up, it's totally up to you. So the encounter with, we were working on getting Flash, our adult sloth, down this morning.
You guys can see where Flash lives in here.
Yeah.
He
What do you
normally
got
is
there?
standing down here, beating the heck out of the door if I'm late, like this.
He's one now.
Speed of a sloth. That's Dash's environment in here.
Flash.
Yeah, Flash's.
It's hard.
He goes up, the way up there, he's got all his trees and his
Yeah,
branches.
so he's hanging up in his hammock right now.
He's got bunk bed hammocks up there, he's got the whole, he's got it going on.
Right here in the hammock.
Yep, his little butt bump.
Oh,
Okay. He is not wanting to come out.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
He's pretty good at seeing shapes and obviously he's kind of looking around, but he's hearing noise and smelling different smells. So he's kind of looking around. But you are welcome to pet him. So same thing with Zoe, is just short little strokes on the back of his neck, just like that. He's a lot softer than Zoe. So his hair will get, obviously, like Zoe as they get older, and then
All right, y'all, come on in.
and then as Zoe gets
Sorry
older.
about the snafu we're having this morning.
Oh, it's nice and warm in here.
Oh, it's 80 in here.
Is this where we're going?
This is where we're going, yeah.
Oh yeah, this would be tight for, are these any of their phones? Or-
Well, you guys are all getting the VIP this morning, so don't worry about it. So, we often, if you guys are watching us online and stuff, you hear us say that we interact with our animals in a way that they are comfortable with.
Yeah,
And today the proof is in the pudding. So Flash didn't feel like coming down today, so he didn't.
okay.
So everybody's just getting the super upgrade to
Okay.
Zoe and then the tiny baby Dash out here. And I doubt anybody will be terribly disappointed about it.
No, not at all.
But this one, this baby here is usually more about just hold and snuggle and not so much talking
And that's
about
Zoe?
sloths. This is
Okay.
Zoe. Usually I do most of the talking about sloths with Flash, and then people that just want to snuggle a sloth hold this one. But we're gonna kind of mosh it all together today and just give you the best experience we have any way to give you. So, this is Zoe. Zoe loves to be held, she loves to be snuggled. She likes you to support her underneath like this so she doesn't feel the need to hold on so tight around your neck. And she loves to be petted, but she likes to be petted at the speed of a sloth, like this. She doesn't like you to be like, rah, rah. She doesn't like to be scratched and rubbed, and she doesn't like her hair going the wrong way. She likes to dig her fingers in your hair and see what's up. So, but she likes to be petted just like this, only on the back and only slow. We transfer her on her Snuggie. We say night-night, and that's when she knows that she's gonna go see another person. Night-night, Zoe. And then you are in the holding chair, which will cycle everybody through right there. Wow, your hands are cold. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's cold outside, isn't it? Might want to let her sit on that. Cold underneath of that. Those are some cold hands. So, yeah. So this is Zoe. Zoe is a two-toed sloth, same as Flash and Dash. And Zoe has been with us since she was 4 months old. She is currently 13 months old. She comes to us from a breeder in southern Florida. He doesn't like us to name his name because he does not provide sloths to the general public and doesn't want people to call him.
Yeah.
If you just chill for a minute, she will relax herself.
So it's about every 12 hours.
She's experiencing the texture of your sweater.
You know, I thought about that when I put it on this
Zoe
morning.
is really
I thought it'd
good
keep you
about
warm.
eating every 12 hours.
Well, hello.
It's all good.
And she'll be
If you
good.
just chill for a
little
minute,
bit
she'll
of
calm
noise,
right
maybe
down.
snapping.
So, and I'm gonna close this door, make it even hotter, because we're overrunning each other's voices.
But Flash, as they get older.
So, the sloths that you're gonna be experiencing this morning are multiple generation captive bred sloths. These are not sloths that were kidnapped out of the rainforest. We are vehemently against people taking sloths out of the rainforest for encounters. It is bad for their health, it is bad for people, it is just all around bad. There are people that see what we do here and think to themselves, oh, I wish I had a pet sloth. And then they start researching online and find that it is possible to buy a pet sloth. That is a horrible idea. The way that you can know if you're getting a sloth coming from the rainforest is if it costs less than your car, it is a wild caught sloth. Before anyone would ever own a sloth, there is a very significant amount of research and investment and development that you have to do. One of the biggest things that you have to do before you get on one is have an environment such as this with indoors and outdoors that you can maintain 80 degrees and 50% relative humidity all of the time.
Okay.
But and then when you see the government of Costa Rica and some places like the Sloth Conservation Foundation and stuff that tell you that it is always, always, always bad to hold a sloth, that is why they are saying that, is that they are working very, very hard to combat the wild animal trade. And but our sloths here are not wild animals, they are multiple generation captive bred, and they would not know what to do if you put them into a forest.
Are any of the ones that you have related to each other, like mother? They're all
No.
different, okay.
No, they're all different. They all come from the same breeder, but he has a very large population of sloths, and they are documented for generations. And if you're getting more than one sloth from him that you ever might want to breed, you make sure that they're genetically unrelated. He's got at least 7 different strains of sloths
Right,
going
yeah.
where he is. And he's the only place in the country that has any 3-toed sloths. But that's because he planted a grove of cecropia trees 20 years ago before he started getting 3-toed sloths. And that's the most limiting factor to keeping 3-toed sloths is they basically only eat cecropia leaves that don't grow in the U.S.
Yeah.
And that also is why a koala is the most expensive animal to keep, is because koalas can eat nothing except fresh acacia leaves. And
Yeah.
so the USDA would tell you that if you are going to own a koala, you need to budget $700,000 a year to feed it. Because you're basically flying in fresh acacia leaves every single day. Or I'm sorry, I'm saying acacia, eucalyptus, fresh eucalyptus leaves every day. Not acacia, that's giraffes. Silly me.
Do they bite at all?
So some places that have sloth encounters, they pull all their teeth so that the sloth can't bite. Our sloths just like to be held, so
Does the sloth actually really like being held, or is tolerant?
yes, she actively seeks human attention. Had there not already been a Facebook contest to decide what her name would have been, her name would have been Oof, because when you go to set her down, she goes Oof, Oof. And you see the way that she reaches and stretches and grabs because she wants someone to hold her. But no, they actively seek human attention. They are not just tolerating it.
Oh, that's nice.
But the way that he raises these animals, his mother animals are clicker trained. So click, click, click. I'm going to take the baby, but it will be back.
Okay.
So it doesn't stress the mothers, and therefore it doesn't stress the babies. So from 2 weeks old, they're being held by humans every single day of their life. Starts from 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, so on and so forth, until by the time the mother of her own volition weans the baby's being held by people 30, 45 minutes at a time, several times a day.
Okay.
So when they come here, they are looking to be held by people. And my other sloth next door, Flash, to date, he has never been held by a human. He came to us from a static display, just a zoo type display behind a sheet of glass. And so when he came here, he was 2 years and some months old and never been held. So it is not natural for him.
Right.
I have been with that sloth for an hour plus a day, almost every day for the last 3.5 years, and I have never held that sloth. He'll lay his face right against my face, he'll lean up against me shoulder to shoulder, he'll run his hands all through my hair, but he's never made any move to move onto my body, and we won't force him to. I won't even take his hand and put it onto me.
How
If
do you
one day
move them?
on a stick like
Okay.
that,
Okay.
he'll move on to the stick, and we'll carry the stick with him on it.
Oh,
That's a transport stick right there. That
that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, the babies here. I mean, they come to us all the time. We don't need to put them on a stick.
Yeah.
But Flash, yeah. And actually, the reason that stick is here is we left this door open. He came scurrying into the neighbor's room to see what was up in here. Not interested in her, wanted to try out her hammock.
No.
Kind of like staying at a hotel instead of home, you know.
Who's that in the
It's just
corner?
different. That is Baku, the three-banded armadillo.
Oh, I didn't even know there was anything down
I
there.
saw him rustling.
This
Like you're
is,
passing baseball.
yeah, he is a three-banded armadillo. This also is a Brazilian rainforest animal.
Gotcha.
And so that's his head and that's his tail. So he closes up completely like that. And then when he comes out,
I've heard that they are not like, they won't bother people. Because we didn't used to have them anywhere near us.
well, you still don't. This is a Brazilian
Oh,
rainforest animal.
okay, not a fancy one.
This is a three-banded.
Oh,
The ones that you see in the States are nine-banded armadillos. Those are what are laying dead on the sides of the roads.
right.
I think the coolest thing about him is the way his ears go. And his name is Baku, like Bakugan, like the toys that used to be in a magnet.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom, the toy comes out. That's just the way he is. And
And does he just like to be hiding wood chips?
yeah, that's where he sleeps.
Okay.
But he comes
He's
out.
tired
every
now.
once in a while.
He does look tired.
Well, I just woke him up. But Kevin just woke him up.
He reminds me of like a crab.
And this
Like,
is
all
skin. It's
closed
not
up.
a shell. You can touch
I
it.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It isn't a shell, right?
But it's skin that would stop at 22.
Oh,
Yeah.
the little eyes.
Really?
Yeah, and he is actually related to sloths. The family is Thorin, and basically means hinge spine, that they can ball up.
How old is he?
He is 8 months, thereabouts. He actually comes from the same breed of the duck breeds of the sloths.
Wow. Well, I see the claws maybe.
Yeah, he's a good little guy. He's fun. They say in his adult form he'll be able to run 30 miles an hour and jump 3 feet straight in the air.
Wow.
I was
Yeah.
listening. How old is he?
I thought that was a joke at first.
8 months.
Say what?
I thought that was a joke at first.
No.
8 months.
Yeah, the Disney movie that animal is in is the El Dorado. Never rebuff, never rebuff, never rebuff. Where the South Americans think they're gods and they play the soccer game with the balled up animal. Yeah. But anyway, Zoe, when we're doing more about the talk than the snuggle, since that's what we came for, but or combining the two. Usually I'm pretty quiet during this because people just like to absorb some sloth energy. So they're slow, famously, but they're slow in ways you don't think about them being slow. They're slow not only in their movement, they're slow in their digestion, their metabolism, their metabolic processes. They're slow in every way that an animal can be slow. So movement. They will tell you that a sloth, if you read online, can only move 12 feet per minute, even in the trees. That is not true. Our next door environment is 20-some feet tall, and he can scurry down from the top in about 30 seconds. So that would be at least 40 feet per minute that I've personally seen that sloth move. But even so, that's still less than 1/2 of 1 mile per hour, so not track stars by any stretch of the imagination. The sloths are also slow in their digestion. The first studies on how slowly a sloth digests its food, they put some 3-millimeter glass beads into some sloth's food and just waited to see how long it took those to come out the other end. And that was between 61 and 64 days.
Wow.
So that was the starting out theory on how slowly a sloth digests. No one seriously believes that anymore. They would just tell you that glass beads don't move the way the food moves through a digestive tract. The next study, they put some durable dyes onto some various food types, and those dyes took between 18 and 30 days to work their way through. So that's where most people would tell you their digestive speed is right now is 18 to 30 days. The sloths digest very slowly but very thoroughly, and they eat tremendous amounts of food. So a sloth eats 10% of its body weight every single day. Put that to human perspectives, I weigh about 200 pounds, so that would be me eating 20 16-ounce porterhouse steaks every day. Obviously that wouldn't work. Even though they are eating 10% of their body weight every single day, they go to the bathroom only 3 or 4 times a month, once in 7 to 10 days. When they do go to the bathroom, they will lose 1/3 of their natural body mass when they go. So again, 200 divided by 3, think of that and shudder. If I was to lose 1/3 of my body mass when I went to the bathroom, that'd be quite a pile.
So they don't come down though, do they? They
Yes,
just stay up. But I'm
absolutely.
saying they only come down when they go to the bathroom? Or do they
Only to go
stay
to the
up?
bathroom, yeah. And so that makes no sense from a survival perspective, right? When they're in the tops of the trees, they're entirely safe from every type of predator except an eagle. And yet they come down the same tree, same side of the tree every single time to go to the bathroom. Is somebody getting that picture?
It's
It's a profile picture for sure. So, cut the top of her head off though. So, the sloth comes down, when he's in the top of the tree, he's safe, and yet he comes down the tree to go to the bathroom every time. Same tree, same side of the tree, poops on the same pile he always poops on. So the starting out theory was that they're just neat animals. Obviously that's a stupid theory. And the next theory was that they're fertilizing their own tree. They only live in one tree and they're just fertilizing their tree. Another dumb theory, because anywhere that it pooped from in a tree would land under the canopy of the tree, so the fertilization effect would be the same. So the actual reason that they're coming down the tree to go to the bathroom is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. So sloths need moths and moths need sloths. In the wild, not here, praise the Lord. In the wild, they have about 150 moths living in their fur all of the time. In captivity, they don't need them. In the wild, the nature of the symbiosis between sloths and moths is that the benefit to the moth is that the sloth is the food source and living environment of the moths. So the sloth will host the moth for the moth's whole life. The moss and algae in the sloth's fur is what the moths eat.
Can you find a different word for moth?
What's that?
You can find a better word for moth.
Yeah, right. It's like Dr. Seuss in here with moss, moth, moth, moss, sloth, moss, whatever. So, and actually the type of sloth, the type of moth that lives on the sloth is a sloth moth. And they don't live anywhere in the world except the fur and the waste pile of a sloth. But let's let your brother have a turn. All right, Zoe. Come here, baby. Oh, good girl. Oh,
One last hug, Jerry.
all right. Those jeans were ripped before. Hate to think it was her. All right, night, baby. There we go. Night.
Value.
Take that out of there.
Is she hugging you?
Very much so. So the benefit to the moth is that the sloth is the living environment and the food source of the moth. The benefit to the sloth is that the sloth digests his food by a bacterial process. As the sloth grooms himself, he licks up a certain amount of the moths and a certain amount of the waste of the moths. The moths are the source of the bacteria that make the sloth digest its food. Now we also have helpful gut bacteria. Our gut bacteria will last for all of our lives unless we take a long course of antibiotics. That's what would kill off our gut bacteria. The sloth, his bacteria colony will last for all of his life unless he gets cold. If the sloth gets cold, that would kill not only the moths on the outside of the sloth, but the bacteria colony that goes all the way through the sloth. because a sloth can't maintain its body temperature, doesn't have the energy budget for it. So the sloth's core body temperature is basically whatever the outside air temperature is. So daytime high in the rainforest, mid 80s, nighttime low, high 60s. His body temperature makes that wave of temperatures every day. So if the sloth gets too cold, it will kill off the bacteria colony that lives all through it. And at that point, the sloth would die of starvation 30 days later because it couldn't digest its food. So for us, if we take antibiotics and kill off our bacteria colony in our guts, we can go take some probiotics from GNC, or we can take some Greek yogurt from the grocery store. The sloth doesn't have GNC and he doesn't have Publix, so he is out of luck. He will not be able to digest, therefore he would die of starvation 30 days after he got too cold. In captivity, we don't ever let them get cold, and so their bacteria colony never dies. But still, if you're going to keep a sloth, you do need to be pretty much a sloth poopologist. So every time that they have a movement, you have to examine everything about it to know what is going on in them. Best way to know what's going on in them is to look at what came out of them and make adjustments as necessary to their diet.
Do they have a supplement that you give them?
No.
Okay.
So she's still on her baby diet, so she gets long grain brown rice with dog food kibbles that is dissolved into it, and sweet potato that's ground into it. And then when they're older, they start to eat more veggies, and her and the adult sloth's core diet is spinach, and his treat diet is veggies. Her core diet is the rice mixture, and her treat diet is baby spinach. And when she gets older, and the vet who provides us with these is involved in their life forever. He gets pictures of them, pictures of their weights, what they've eaten every week. We talk to him every week. So
Is it an online vet? It's not somebody around here, is it?
No.
Yeah,
He doesn't like me to name his name because he doesn't provide
Gotcha.
sloths to the general public, and he doesn't want his phone to ring all the time. Because we get.
But I mean, like, it's not like a local vet that would help with these. It would be somebody who
So
specializes, right?
our local vet is Higdon Large Animal Services. He is the attending vet to all of our animals. But then we have specialist vets for every breed of animal that are basically his hotline if he needs additional information.
Yeah.
But sloths are so hard to keep and maintain that we're involved with our sloth vet every week. All the other ones, the consulting vets are only if we need to consult. And, step one on the consulting vets is UT. So the vet school at University of Tennessee is directly involved with our vet. We have kind of a symbiosis. We get good prices from him, and he gets the best interns. Because if you want to be a veterinarian that works with exotic animals, you are not going to touch one anywhere else that I'm aware of until you already are a DVM. Really hard to get into zoology vet, but if you're the intern for my vet, you can do whatever my vet says you can do with my animals. So he gets very many applications to be his interns.
Are they territorial, or do they fight at all amongst one another?
They are not territorial particularly, except when a female is in heat, and they don't really fight, but they are solitary. They don't come together except to mate, and even then it's for like 2 minutes. And the only time sloths are together is if a mother has a baby with her. But their energy budget, again, is so low that the mother animal can only make milk for her baby for about 3 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
The two-toed sloth makes the milk longer than the three-toed sloth does, but the baby stays with the mother longer with the three-toed than with the two-toed. The three-toed are known to keep their babies for as much as a year. The two-toed generally wean them by 3 or 4 months. When we get a sloth from the guy that provides us our sloths, we already have our next sloth, but it will be here when it's weaned. No idea when. No expectation at all. When it's ready to come, that's when it'll come. And so
Yeah.
I was like, where'd he go?
I didn't know where you were taking a picture of I
I was
thought
trying to find
I
it.
thought it crawled over there.
Do you think you'll end up breeding any here?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not breeding age till they're like 4, and I don't know. The guy in the wild, they say they live about 20, in captivity about 50. But you know, again with the sloth conservancy thing, they say that a captive sloth will only live about 2 months. When they're talking about ones that are caught out of the wild,
Right.
I completely agree with that statement.
Yeah.
When they're talking about ones born in captivity, Smithsonian Zoo had one that was 49 years old. There's a zoo in Germany that has one that's 53. There's another zoo, I forget where, that has one that's 54. There's some in China that claim that they are much older than that. But both sloth breeders that I know personally have female sloths that are 35 plus years old and still reproducing.
Wow.
And no one can tell you for sure if it's true of sloths, but most large mammals, females don't reproduce in the last half to third of their lifespan. So if that is true of sloths, which I don't know, but if that is true, that would suggest that those sloths could still live a very long time.
Yeah.
Because they're still reproductive at over 35 years old. And I mean, here, everything about our sloths is about our sloths. So today, because of the whoopsie-doo that we had with our online booking system, we're doing 3 encounters, but I don't think I've ever done 3 encounters in a day before.
Well, that's what I was telling them when we were here. I was like, there's only 2, I thought, in the morning, like 10 and 10:30.
Right, that's all that there are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys booked your encounter, you showed up at the day and time you're supposed to, I'm gonna provide the service I'm supposed to provide. But if there was another group here, we'd be telling them, you know, so sad, too bad, we'll provide your service another day. So, you know, the way that we work here, safety is primary to people. If it's a difference between my animal is safe or my guest is safe, safe will take precedence, but comfort, it's the animal first.
Yeah.
The people could be comfortable or not, you know, oh well, you came to the animal's house.
Right.
So yeah, it's 80 degrees in here, very few people like that, but that's what it is for the sloth.
That feels
And,
really good.
And the quickest way to leave this farm for guest or employee is be mean to an animal. You will be gone very, very quickly. All of our animals here
Do you
are
all have here in total?
125,
Wow.
not counting birds. And not all of our animals are on display. And when you do a farm tour, it's not always the same animals every day. And, but if you're on a farm tour, all of the animals are up close. See them, touch them, pet them, hold them. I mean, you're not going to hold a camel, but you're going to see it, touch it, pet it. And it is
Well,
not.
I think we're lucky to get to see them out here like this today.
Yeah. It is not a zoo. Somewhere in that enclosure there's an animal, and maybe you'll see it. You are going to see the animals here. But also all of our animals are friendly. They're all here for a while before anybody ever sees them, touches them, pets them, holds them. And like, if they aren't here as a baby, or like for instance, when I was getting an alpaca, I bought 10 and I kept the one that never spit at anyone. Sold the other 9. You know, we are very, very selective about what animals are here. And an animal doesn't have to be mean to somebody more than once for me to just be like,
We saw a turkey out there. It looked like there was just one turkey. Do you have more than that? Or
Just one. That's Thomas the turkey. So there's a lady up in Etowah who has a business called Homestead Poultry. She hatches all of our emu eggs for us because our incubators here are not big enough.
You have emus too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And rays. And when my wife would drive up there to take emu eggs to her, that turkey would follow her around like a dog every time. And it was there to be a Thanksgiving turkey. She raises Thanksgiving turkeys there too. And she's like, this really needs to be a pet, not a Thanksgiving turkey. So now he's lived here for 2.5 years. That turkey is fully flooded. He flies wherever he wants to.
Yeah.
If he didn't want to be here, he wouldn't. And
Well, he was all puffed up.
Yeah, it's very decorative.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never
yeah,
seen a turkey like
so
that before.
we talk about that a fair amount on the farm tour, but he puffs all up and drops his snoot down the front and turns all red
Yeah.
when he's showing off trying to get people to pet him. If you see him sitting out there and there's no people around to show off for, everywhere that he's red when he's showing off, he's like white or very
Okay.
slightly pink. And, you know, his waddles that are like this, like
Oh, I
that.
saw
If there's
him
no
unpause for
people.
like half a second.
And then his feathers all lay down, and his snoot will be like standing on top of his head instead of droop down his whole face. That's just all his show-off mode.
He
Let's,
was an impressive sight out there.
Let's see Dash. All right, we're ready to move on. Coming out. You guys had a good time. We would very much appreciate your time.
I love how he bends his neck back and like looks at you.
Yeah.
Wants to get a little scurrying around underneath your chair.
Oh, there he is. She's very photogenic.
Yeah, so we kind of ruin people for other sloth encounters. If you go to another sloth encounter after this,
Armadillos on
you
my
know,
foot.
it's not the same.
I feel it just poking at my foot.
Yeah, it did that to me earlier. I thought I was over there and it touched my foot. I was like, uh-oh.
I thought it was your foot.
And before I knew about the sloth encounters, I was a guy that went to the sloth encounter in Honduras and was holding sloths, not knowing that they're wild animals that are going to die quickly. But you live and learn.
Yeah, well, she does seem happy.
Oh yeah, she's actively seeking human attention all the time. She's held for 8 hours a day, give or take.
Yeah, very.
All right, baby, come here. Zoo, 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 zoo. Come here, baby. Oh, good girl. Come here. All right, come to daddy.
Very well behaved. Oh. What's the armadillo's name?
Baku,
Baku.
like Bakugan. And me being a teenager of the 80s, my next one will be named Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan and Bakugan.
Does she know know all the people here? Like,
Oh yeah,
does she-
absolutely. Yeah, my wife is her favorite.
Mhm.
That's why my wife can't do the encounters, is she won't sit in your lap if my wife is in there. She'll be trying to climb to Donna
Oh,
the whole
that's
time.
funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right, I think we're ready to go out and see Dash.
Hi, Baku.
So that right there is the difference between 5 months and 13 months.
Oh my gosh.
This one is the 13 months model, that one is the 5 months model.
Oh my gosh, so cute.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are not related.
Yeah.
People online will be like, oh, the mama wants the baby. No, they're both babies, they're not related.
But they don't really want to
She's
be near
curious.
each other though, right? Isn't that
Well,
what
if I
they-
hold that one, this one will come and nose that one out of
Okay.
my lap. She'll be like,
Yeah.
dude, you're in my spot.
Can I pet her?
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Good night, Zoe.
It's definitely softer like baby soft.
So same way,
Night.
so we just, little short strokes here on the back of his neck.
So see, she doesn't want to go to her bed. She wants me to keep holding her.
Right. Yeah, I set Dash down in his basket for a second so I could take off my sweatshirt and he was grabbing for me the whole time.
Now you just started doing, people holding him though recently, right?
Do they always hold like the
There's
branches
people have
above as
your,
well? or-
Yeah, they do. Well, no, she's gonna let go and cuddle in. The
We've,
branches are just how she moves.
With him for maybe about 2 minutes.
Wow.
Oh, they're still. We just started signing up encounters, but we haven't actually done hardly any.
Yeah, right.
Did you feel him?
This is Kevin's domain. I
So
don't know.
it's really silky feeling.
Yeah, it is.
And, I mean, obviously you guys pet Zoe too, and she's still soft, but he's definitely softer.
Yeah. Just like any other baby animal.
We're shocked at how soft the kangaroos were.
Yeah, they are. Almost like bunny fur. And so when he first got, and he's changed quite a bit in coloring just since he's been here for about a month, but, so he used to be like all this really dark brown color. You can see he's getting some white coming in here, and then his arms are getting a little bit of blonde. And so he'll look like Zoe, and then Zoe will look like, getting more and more
Whoops.
blonde.
Sorry, Josh.
Armadillo's trying to steal the show.
Yeah.
Armadillo loves everybody,
Mm-hmm.
especially their shoelaces. He's all about shoelaces.
He's so tiny.
And so,
Did
and
they?
so it's, I was gonna say, he definitely holds on to you. I don't need to hold on to him, so he's like Velcro. I just hold him just for a little bit of security and so that he can get used to hands touching him and feeling him, so.
How much does he weigh?
About 1.5 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So he hardly weighs nothing.
Now, does he only go to the bathroom, rarely like the bigger one?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, same schedule,
How old is he again?
about 5 months.
And does he live hanging up also and climb down? Or what does he do?
So he has a very large parrot cage up in the house, and he snuggles in his basket, and then he climbs around on the branches. And we get some amount of hate and discontent from people that see a cage that he goes in at night. And we're like, well, your baby has a cage too. We call it a crib. And they're like, but my baby doesn't have a roof. I'm like, if your baby could climb like mine, I promise you it would.
Yeah.
And so he sleeps in a very large parrot cage, and his basket is in there for him to snuggle.
Yeah.
But almost all day, every day, he's hanging around somebody's neck.
And how long do they sleep for?
About 20 hours a day.
Yeah, he looks sleepy right now.
Yeah, he does.
His belly's full.
He's like, all these people coming and bothering me.
Which is kind of funny to me to say that their belly's full. I mean, his belly's always full, right? Because it's 10 days. But he has a multi-compartmented stomach. So like his esophagus goes down, goes all the way around, and then dumps into his stomach. And their guts, so like our guts are sitting in our pelvis and upper bounded by our diaphragm. Their guts have connected tissue going all between, because you know they're going to be in every different position throughout the day and throughout their life. So the connected tissue holds their organs all in the position that they're supposed to be in. So they don't just slosh around in them the way that ours do.
Are they endangered in the wild?
So they are not listed as endangered, or they would be called of least concern, which is, you know, the same as your house dog is of least concern.
Okay.
But their numbers are dwindling at an alarming pace. Primarily, the three main threats to them are loss of habitat, power lines going through their habitat, because, you know, they're long enough that they can get from a line to a pole and fried sloth, and traffic. And,
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, you know, if on the ground, they can only move 6 to 8 feet per minute.
Yeah.
So if he's going perpendicular dead across a 50-foot across road, that's 8 minutes to cross a road. And, you know, maybe people are looking, maybe they're not. And then of course the pet animal trade. So we are very, very, very against the pet animal trade. All of ours are multi-generation captive bred, but it is entirely possible. I'm trying to see if I'm standing in front of the camera, but I can't see both sides at once. But it is possible to buy a sloth for a pet, but it's a horrid idea.
You know how a dog stretches when they wake up?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, was he all?
Yeah.
Who would ever think an armadillo would be so entertaining?
Yeah, he's something
Yeah,
else.
he is. He's cute.
God, I can't get over how tiny he is.
I thought that was a tiny baby.
I know.
How much bigger is she going to get?
So she weighs about 10 pounds now, and then she'll get, well, she could get bigger, but our other adult who's 5 weighs about 15 to 16 pounds. And so she's got more weight to gain, but she really has a lot more body, like she needs to stretch out a lot more.
That's why his name is Baku.
Yeah, I remember those.
These toys that,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Sits on
I
your-
remember you
I
had
had
those,
those,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Elementary school, and no one had metal, or we all lost our metal cards because we throw them at boxes.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, those, is that a metal card?
Yeah.
That's the magnet that makes it
Yeah,
open.
okay.
And
Doing boy
I
stuff.
say that
I
I'm,
think he had the red one too.
There's a few
this
red
one's
ones.
the dragon.
I did have, I don't know, I had a blue one and a red one.
My son.
I looked for them probably about like 2 years ago in my closet.
My son probably had about 80 of these things. He had like, well, you know, the Hot Wheels car boxes that they stick all in there, right? He had that for the Baku guns. And he had just tons of these things.
Yep. Can't hold this one, but you can.
1.0975.
You can definitely
tax,
pet
and
him.
that's the total price.
And so sloths are a lot different as, a lot of people think like, oh, they're so cuddly and snuggly, and so they like to feel secure, like he's holding on and he feels secure right now. But they don't like to be coddled and squeezed and snuggled like maybe like a real friendly kitten or a puppy. So like even when I touch his, he moves away from that. Or if I were to touch underneath his chin or anything like that, he's like, no. And all of our sloths are the same way. So they like to feel secure and like to feel like they're, safe where they're at. And this is about the extent of their kind of snuggling. And they'll definitely hold on to you, and it feels like, oh, it's so loving and sweet. But they don't like to be squeezed and coddled, like the same thing. Oh yeah. And so what he might do too is like, he'll reach, like get underneath your pant leg, and he doesn't bite, so you don't have to worry about him like sneak attack or anything. But he'll dig up underneath your pant leg, and like if you got little ankle socks on, he'll like dig in the ankle socks. So what you feel like if he ends up doing that, it's just his front toes like digging. Because like when I wear my hiking boots and not these things, I'm standing here getting food ready or whatever, and I just feel this scratching, and I'm just like, oh.
Is he always loose, just running around in here?
We let him run around, like if we're in this area and we're not too busy in and out, but he has obviously Zoe's whole enclosure to run around too, so that's where he's mostly at.
She's not on the ground that
I mean,
often.
would you get hurt if you like accidentally like hit him with your foot, or like?
I mean, if you
I feel
bump
like
him,
he's just
no.
on your feet.
Yeah, I know.
And hard to see.
That's when I walk around here. I usually scoot like
Slide,
this
yeah.
versus
So
picking
you don't
up
step
and
on
walking.
him.
Yeah. So I scoot, man. I've learned to scoot.
When I was
Runs over the
holding
floor
the
too.
sloth in there, he came up on my foot and like I like flinched
Yeah.
a little bit. I was like, oh, it's the armadillo.
Yeah, and he's funny because when it's a little bit warmer, we let him out in this main area of the barn, and he'll run around, and he'll just run into stuff. And so their eyesight is really poor, and they really rely on their sense of smell, and then he's always sniffing and getting into things, but he'll run around and then just bump into something. And
How many times a day do they eat?
the sloths, about every 12 hours. So he'll eat more periodic, smaller, more often.
Yeah.
That's kind of his style.
This is the baby diet. So they're eating long grain brown rice cooked in a rice cooker. And then it's got high quality dog food that if you look closely, the dog food is like dissolved in there.
It's like mush.
Like those little tiny,
Yeah, I see.
little tiny amounts of brown or dissolved dog food, that's where her protein comes from.
And do they just
And
stick
then
their
this-
face in there and eat?
They eat from our hand. The shreds there are shredded sweet potato, that's for fiber for them. And they are free fed. If they want to eat from a dish, they can. But they eat from our hand most of the time. And like Flash, who didn't feel like coming down today, he is not going to suffer any repercussion of any kind. He gets his favorite snack food when he's out here at his encounters, but he will get the exact same food put in his dish. The fact that he didn't feel like coming down today is okay.
Yeah.
It's rare that he doesn't want to come down, but if he doesn't, I had a bad day once.
Yeah.
Or, sometimes if the people in the condo upstairs are, interacting with him a lot overnight, he might be tired.
Right.
You don't know. But it's all good. We interact with them the way that they want to, and there will be no repercussion to that animal. It's fine.
Definitely
It's just so
adorable.
small.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that a baby sloth could be that cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, uber cute. But again, we're very careful on our life. Somebody was just commenting that animal should be in the wild. That's what I was just addressing right there on the phone. Is that these are multiple generation captive bred animals. They would have no idea how to survive in the wild. And these animals are much further removed from the rainforest than I am from an outhouse and no indoor plumbing or electricity. I don't want to go back to that. And
Do you find yourself commenting more on negative?
no, people are allowed to hate me. It doesn't, it's okay. People can have differences of opinion, and we won't even shut them up. They are welcome to make negative comments as long as they're not hateful to other members of the community. It's okay. They can disagree with what I say, they can disagree with what I think and what I do, and they're welcome to their opinion, and I don't have any ill will towards them. But we will comment and say, you know, it's the difference between if you have your house cat that was born from its mother house cat that lived in your house, and it lived in your living room for all its life, and then you threw it out into the forest, it is not going to last long at all. And similarly, if you brought a feral cat from the woods into your house and tried to have it live in peace with your family, it will be ugly.
It'll shred you
Same
to
way.
pieces.
Yep, same way. These animals have been captive bred for many years. The guy who provides ours, he's a doctor, veterinary dentist, and he's been doing this for 30 years now. And he has a very large population of captive sloths. And of course, he's also in it to the degree that, you know, if it sadly becomes the case that sloths are extinct in the wild, there will still be sloths in the world.
Right.
And rhinos, same way. Had there not been captive rhinos, there would not be a rhino on Earth anymore. And when they became extinct in the wild, some zoos got together and made a wild population again that are under armed guards all of the time. And, you know, if you're a villager in Africa trying to feed your family and you can kill a rhino and make a lifetime of pay, they're gonna do that.
Right.
And if you're a person trying to feed your family and there's wild sloths all in the trees and you can grab one and sell it for thousands of dollars, they're gonna do that. So that's why there is such a press against purchasing wild caught sloths, and we are 100% in agreement with that. But we have to be careful with what we say and do, because people can watch online and get the impression that it would be a good idea to buy a pet sloth. Absolutely not.
I think, well, there's people that buy all kinds of wild animals that shouldn't. He shed his eyes when you're doing that.
Here he goes. Baku's like, hey guys, I'm down here too.
Just the way he moves, he almost looks like he's on wheels.
Yeah, I feel like he's just gonna fall over any second.
Kevin Owens says it looks like he's walking on high heels.
Yeah.
Click clop, click clop.
I think he looks like a russet potato walking around.
Oh, yeah.
A little baked potato. Yeah, he'll get a lot bigger too. He'll get about the size of a soccer ball. So he's
Oh,
got
wow.
a-
He won't fit.
No. Then he
Where'd
really
you
won't
guys
be
come
able
from
to.
today?
Well, we're from Marietta, but we stayed in LJ last night.
Okay. I used to own an apartment complex in Marietta. The Taylor's apartment homes.
Marietta's pretty big, you know, east to west. We're all the way on the west side. It's a good solid 30 minutes for us to drive, like to the east side.
Oh, this was in the middle of all the other apartment communities that are right up and down the sides of 75. Look at him stretching to try to go under that. He's like, oh, I can't quite fit.
Almost.
He tries to squeeze underneath yours a lot,
Yeah, I
but
saw
he's
him
too
try.
big to, yeah,
You only go under from the end.
yeah.
I could see people wanting an armadillo for a pet too after they come here.
Armadillos are pretty good pets. But that, you know, the reason that you don't really want to keep one that you would catch wild in the States is they can carry leprosy. And of course, leprosy is a treatable disease now. It's not even a big deal. But the Brazilian 3-banded ones don't carry leprosy the way that the 9-banded do. And from what I've read, the only people that have ever gotten leprosy from an armadillo in America were eating it.
Very weak now.
For a moment.
Yeah, kind of. Now we're back to half eyes.
He's awake, he's listening. I think sometimes when you're trying to listen extra close to something, you close your eyes.
Yeah.
And they don't see well at all. So I think that they sit with their eyes closed, just extra listening.
What can they see?
So their eyes have a structure called rod monochromacy, which means they have all rod cells, no cone cells. so they see only in grayscale all of the time. And their vision is better at night than it is in the day, but even at night their vision is poor. But in the day, you know, their eyeball, their pupils are about like pinpricks, so you know, it's like if you're, I don't know, either maybe if you're looking like that, or maybe, you know, if you're looking through one of those eclipse viewer things that you're just seeing just kind of shapes and shadows. That's about what a sloth is seeing.
Easy to get a tree confused with holes
Yeah.
and other things.
We had, Flash was out here one time and then he snuck into Zoe's room and there's trees, branches painted in her room. And so he was grabbing for the,
On the wall.
the painted, cause he can't see the depth, you know, and so he was like, just hitting the ceiling.
First week after we get this room painted, he's probably gonna be confused.
It probably, a little bit.
We have a mural painter to coming to paint this whole room into a rainforest.
In here?
Yeah, this whole room
Okay.
is gonna be rainforest painted with a waterfall on that end. And sloth painted up on the wall up here. It's gonna be too many people that watch our lives, and there are, I mean, I think yesterday around 100,000 people watched.
Oh, really?
Too many people watch, and they think that this branch is where Flash lives his life.
Oh.
And you know, when you're watching lives, you don't watch the whole live, you watch for a minute or two and click on, you know?
Yeah.
And so they'll see just this small thing, and then the keyboard warriors take off with, it's so horrible that he lives on a branch. And you're like, oh, he's got a 2-story room right there, plus an outside, and bunk bed hammocks up there,
How it goes up.
all his enrichment things in there.
Yeah.
So is he up there now?
Yeah, he's up there in his hammock. But Mario says it looks a little class that it's in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, that's his little ear.
Oh.
Looks like a little monkey ear.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, I know, I'm sorry. They're just so cute, Dad. We just got his ears.
Did you have a contest to name him too?
Sorry, I knocked that off. No, my wife decided what he was named. Flash and Dash, Zoe, and next little girl's gonna be Chloe.
Okay.
We like a lot of rhyming names around here.
The two
Rosie
little
and
babies.
Josie.
And Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Big kangaroos are rough and tough. Mama kangaroos are Damani and Alora, because my daughter's husband is stationed in Italy right now.
So
In the
little
Air Force
Italians.
at Aviano.
Stand over here on this side, you can really see his face.
I always think it's interesting that their eyes kind of bug out when they're open and then they kind of retract back in. I don't know what that is.
Seems more so
You know
on
what I
the
mean,
littler
though?
ones too.
Smaller.
What are their noses?
Dog
Kind
nose.
of, yeah, dog nose. It's, and typically it's a lot more like wet, snotty.
I couldn't tell if it was like their nails or.
No,
No,
it's just
it's-
real soft. Like a dog nose, but without the texture. Yeah, just smooth.
Kevin's from down your way originally.
Marietta?
Yeah, that's right.
Marietta.
Yeah, I'm up towards Dawsonville.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, right?
He just sent me the picture of where he was in Victory Lane when Awesome Bill got the Winston Cup.
In '88.
His dad was the engine builder for Bill Alley. I'm super impressed by that. I used to watch NASCAR a lot. These days I watch nothing but animals.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That one going
Big
in
difference.
circles up there. That's like NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that one, before we had him, the people didn't care for him properly, and his nails grew under to the point that he couldn't climb. And I believe that's why he does the circling thing. But we've had the vet surgically fix his nails. You know, you had to cut them back in 2 steps because they were
Right.
so long, and you got to let the quick retract. And so he can climb just fine now, but he still has the circling behavior. I think just from being poorly cared for.
But the other one upstairs was like was on a racetrack too. He wasn't going right in
Yeah,
circles.
back and forth on the
Yeah.
log.
So the 2 that are on that side are a breeding pair, and unhappy animals don't reproduce, and they do. And the one on this side is my pet that if you are
She
watching me
was
on,
out.
if you're watching me like on lives in the summertime and I'm walking around with an animal taking on my whole shoulders, that's him.
Okay.
He rides on my shoulder. And if you're seeing an animal riding around with her, it's usually either a sugar glider or a micro squirrel or something like that. Or her parrot, her cockatoo,
We
Shogun.
heard.
Yeah, well, that one, the noisy one is John's parrot.
No,
That's
Donna's
yours.
That's Donna's parrot.
I don't claim the loud one. I have the quiet one that you don't even know that's there.
I opened the door and looked in there and it just shut right up. Like it was like we knew we were. It was like it wasn't gonna yell when we were.
Yeah.
Like when we peeked
Shogun does not like kangaroos.
No.
Oh my gosh, the kangaroos went in there with me to make
The
the
babies?
bottles this morning.
Yeah.
Shogun's in the bottom. He's like trying to look like he's like 8
Because
feet
Rosie
tall.
and Josie have been in there and they've sniffed and like everything was fine. I wonder if they're just
The
smaller.
other two are just so bouncy
Yeah.
that your Shogun was
You look like a marshmallow, got all fluffed up.
yeah.
No part of it. What really freaks him out is the sulcata tortoises. I don't know
Oh,
why. Yeah, he's like terrified of the tortoises.
Moving rocks.
Yep. Man, I think that's what it is. Like, that's not supposed to be moving.
Franklin and Fiona.
Yep. They love cucumber, tomatoes.
Yes, too. Maybe you're really a tortoise.
I sit and feed the tortoises by hand when they're in here, and it takes me a good half hour just to sit there and one cucumber slice at a time. But they love it.
So they were trying to break into the can over here.
Oh yeah,
The
they're
corner.
yeah.
Trying to shove the can out of the way to get into the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was?
Mhm. They like being in the corner.
Her favorite place to be is jammed under there up against the air return. They live in the petting farm, but it's too cold in the petting farm right now, and if you leave them outside in the winter, they will dig as much as 10 feet underground and stay under there for a long time.
Yeah.
And then when they come out on a really shallow angle, and you end up with your whole petting farm, or wherever they are, just destroyed. Yeah, exactly. And they're quicker than I ever thought they were, so I once left a gate open, and Franklin, the tortoise, was, when you drive out, you'll appreciate this, he was at the White House on the top of the hill on the other side of the street in 1 hour. So he walked all the way down the gravel drive, all the way up the blacktop drive, somehow got through the gate, up the road, up the hill. Yeah, 1 hour.
Lucky you found him.
Somebody called us to say there's a tortoise walking around outside your farm.
Okay.
And they said, is it possibly yours? I'm like, don't know where else it would come from.
Yeah.
Good call, thank you. We would never seen that tortoise again.
I just cannot believe how he is.
Yeah.
That he runs around like that. Like he's on wheels.
Especially since it's like any armadillo I've
The
ever
more
That's funny. Tucks right in there.
that you just keep him still, he'll open up. So it'd be a bit like this way.
Okay.
Yeah. So after a little bit, he'll kind of
That's
open
so
up
weird.
a little bit.
I don't know, like I wouldn't even
It
know
looks
what it
like
was.
an egg.
because- yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A dinosaur egg. There you come.
It's about time for him to get another little bath too. He gets dirty digging around in the dirt. Imagine that.
Mm.
He eats bugs.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, so
let's see,
good
we
guy
have,
hang around.
so we have all these different kinds of
What
bugs
is
for him
So
to
he
eat.
might like try and jerk out of your hand. So just kind of like with this hand hold it a little bit more secure. But he's not doing it like that. He's just
These
trying to
are
get
all
down.
in the refrigerator, but they're alive. If you keep them out, they'll wake up.
We know
These are
about those.
mealworms,
We
and these are
Gosh.
What you doing, Baku?
these are housefly pupa,
What you doing?
and these are black
Soldier flies?
soldier flies. And so that box in there that's all the dirt, we take these and we sprinkle them
Oh,
on
so
the
they
dirt,
dig around
and
in
then he
there.
digs for them. So that's where he gets his foraging behavior, because his nature is to dig for bugs.
Does he know who
That's
people
the
are, do you think? Like, does he
I'm
think
sure
he
he recognizes
recognizes
smell.
you guys?
Smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, his sense of smells are very good.
Say he can smell an ant a foot underground.
Oh, wow. Hey, Baku. I'll play with him on the ground kind of a lot. So I'll put my hand on the ground and he'll dig in my,
He's trying to jump out of your hands, man.
yeah. Off he goes.
This has been very enjoyable. I would have never pictured all these animals that are all around here.
That's one debate we have is how we ought to rebrand the farm tour and animal encounter, because, you know, people read farm tour and you're thinking horse and goat and pig and sheep and donkey. You're not thinking camel and kangaroo
Right.
and
Armadillo.
kinkajou
I have no
and
idea what
zebra
even-
and donkey and emus and rhea and, you know, tortoises and geese and swans
The
and moths
emus
and
were so
alpacas and-
cute. They were very cute. Weren't the, no,
Kangaroo?
no, down on the end, the last
The
two were
llamas?
llamas. The llamas were so cute. We didn't see the emus.
Wait,
The
what are they?
alpacas? What are the ones on the left, on the back out here? The little black one and
Yeah,
the white
that's
one?
a,
So the black one is Llama Del Rey, that's a llama. And the gray one is Tyler, Steven Tyler, dude looks like a lady. So the gray one is an alpaca and the black one is a llama. And they're the same age, llamas
Okay.
are bigger than alpacas.
Okay. They were very cute too. So it was nice to get to see all the different animals.
Yeah.
So.
So sorry you had to wait, but you got to see a bunch of
Actually,
other
no,
stuff.
that actually, I really enjoyed that. No problem at all.
Yeah.
Thank you for accommodating us and making it work.
So when Donna adjusted your reservation, when she pulled it out, it took it out of our reservation cart, but it didn't take it out. When she put it back, it didn't put it back into to take up a spot in the calendar.
Yeah, yeah.
That was how we ended up overbooked,
Yeah.
is she almost never adjusted a reservation
Right.
from our side,
Right.
and I guess didn't even
Yeah.
necessarily
Not a
know.
problem. I enjoyed waiting out there.
Yeah,
We did,
well,
so no
you
problem.
have to wait somewhere, it's, you know,
Yeah.
it's better than a doctor's waiting.
Yeah, there's two little kangaroos running around.
Yeah. Maybe you have a new friend, Nick.
So the other ones are so sensitive about their feet that I stroke his feet every day, just to
get him used to
numb
that.
him to it. And I sit and rub his ears like this, and
Yeah,
he
I've
goes to
been-
sleep.
Oh.
I like do his ears themselves like this. I mean, it's like,
Do they make a noise?
you want to see his noise?
Yeah.
Put him down. See what he says.
Come here, buddy.
Oh, he's latched.
You can see.
Will he
He
come out?
knows you're there.
Yeah, he would. The basket is so that we can cover it to take him back to the house because we can't let him get cold at all.
I bet. In this weather.
Hey Dash.
Hey, buddy.
Hey Dash.
It's like your own kid. They don't do what
Okay,
you
you
think
know
you're
their
doing.
names.
Yeah. Hey Dash. Hey buddy. Hey Dash. You're not gonna talk, huh?
It's just
Think
like
about
when a regular kid when you try and get them to do something for somebody.
Usually he goes,
Yeah.
Aw.
he's like, oh, I got this. I can get
He's
there.
gonna do it.
I'm gonna let you take over from here, John, and I'm gonna finish feeding.
Cody's.
whatever it is.
This one has an anomaly. This guy has a tail.
Oh, really?
Two-toed sloths normally don't.
Other ones do?
Three-toed do.
Okay.
He has just a little tiny nubbin. I was asking the breeder about that, and he's like, do you know that a certain percentage of people in the world have a tiny nub of a tail too? You just don't ever talk about it.
Yeah, that might be true. You're saying it is?
I learned about that anatomy.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the I think he said it's like one person in 10,000 has a tiny nub
But
of a
it's
tail.
like, a lot, most of it you only see in like an x-ray or
Okay.
Extra little bow or something, I can't
Yeah,
remember.
It's where the
Coccyx keeps
it's where
going.
the skin forms around the bone instead of over the end of the bone. It's not actually sticking out any further than anyone else's. It's just that the skin formed around it instead of covered over it.
You're right, people probably don't talk about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. If I had a tail,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I might show everybody. But
Yeah.
I'm a little different than most.
Just don't live stream it.
Yeah. That'll probably not be so
Yeah.
good.
All right, well, thank you very much. I really, really enjoyed this a
All
lot.
You guys had a
Appreciate
good
for being
time. We very
accommodating.
much appreciate a Google review.
We will definitely review a
Where
Google
my
review.
little, oh, he's got the tag.
Here.
We got one of those things you can either tap it or scan it, depending on your phone.
Oh, fancy. You don't have the bracelet?